Grand Rising and welcome to New Mind, where our intention is clear and is to share information for transformation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching or listening. If you are listening on the stream, I really appreciate you showing up for yourself and making the time. Today's topic and solo episode, is a really one that is, again, really near to the mission I'm on, which is creating a life of freedom. My entire life shifted just nearly a decade ago when I chose to step out of my reality, my timeline, and to change the mindset I had around unlocking freedom and abundance. And this is the topic of today: the mindset of freedom and letting go of fear to unlock freedom. A lot of the times we forget that every single thing starts in the mind. And I always say this, if you've been listening to me or watching me over the years: freedom begins in the mind. Freedom isn't something the world gives you. It's something you have to cultivate internally. I learned this the hard way, guys. I really did. In order for me to create the life of freedom that I live today, live on my own terms, running my own businesses, being able to see my family at my own time, do what I need to do, I had to first cultivate this internal state. This internal state of mind and being determines the external reality. And really, guys, you can't live free, or you can't live a free life if your mind is still enslaved by fear, doubt, or control. This is something very, very clear, and I think most of you know this already. But mental freedom means to no longer react from survival, from lack, but choosing a place or running yourself from a place of awareness and alignment. That's why alignment for me is key in what we do at New Mind. And when we remember that fear on the other side, the opposite of fear for me is always freedom. Always, always, always. And fear in the mind, it's always the sense of contraction, also in the body, by the way. And it keeps you in this survival mode, this scanning for danger, this instead of scanning for opportunity. I mean, you think about this, you'll meet people that are over anxious because there's an anticipation of all the time what could go wrong in the unknown or in the unpredictable uncertainty. And this is why when you operate from fear, you're stuck in patterns of control and the scarcity and the self-protection. And fear is always loud. Fear is always loud in comparison to freedom, if you think about it. Freedom is a bit more quiet. But the more the fear is there, that it dictates your decisions, and the less space there is for creativity, abundance, or even this creative flow that we speak about. So I want you to ask yourself, or I'm asking you, but I want you to ask yourself, how often am I moving from fear instead of trust? I will speak about this at my master workshops, about the strategy that we have. We're either operating from a strategy of running away from something, which is fear, or moving towards something, which is more of trust, right? And when we understand the difference in our decision-making process every single moment in time, most of the decisions we do is either driven by trust or by fear, right? Think about it. And I'm talking in the bigger decisions, of course, not what you're about to eat or drink, but generally speaking, the bigger decisions in life, the things that you're doing, is either trust or fear. And when we understand that, we understand that freedom becomes a choice, because true freedom is the ability to choose your state of being, to choose trust. Not the absence of challenges. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the ability to trust that even if there's challenges in your way, that you will be fine and you will manage and you will overcome it. So every day you have, literally, guys, you have two choices: to operate from fear or operate from your highest self with trust. So again, think about that as I say this, or as you hear this, or you're watching this. Think about yourself. Reflect for a moment. Ask yourself, is my decisions driven mostly by fear or trust? Sometimes we stay in relationships out of fear that are not serving us. Sometimes we stay in careers or jobs out of fear. They're not really serving us. Sometimes we hold our truth in speaking our truth of expressing ourselves out of fear rather from a place of truth, rather from trust in that people will accept us for who we are and love us for who we are, rather than holding back from who we are and our true potential. And this is important because, again, freedom is choosing alignment over approval. It's choosing trust over control. It's almost saying, I will no longer let fear narrate my story or define me. And that's the total opposite of my favorite, the abundance mindset, the abundance that flows from freedom. The abundance is that natural state of a free mind, of possibilities, of opportunities. And that's when you let go of fear. When you stop blocking what's trying to flow into your life. A lot of the times people don't know this, but they are in the way of the flow of possibility and opportunity that is divinely meant for them. And that's unfortunately where this scarcity mindset is born. And it's always born from fear. I mean, look at the world today. Look at society today. Generally speaking, there's always this sense of fear that's being pumped into our screens, into the news and everything else, because it wants to create this mind that takes the divinity of who we are, which is the creators, and it takes away and it robs us from this abundance mindset, taking it back to contraction and the fear of trusting anyone or anything outside of us. But the more we refuse that, the more we open ourselves up and relax our nervous system, the more receptive we become. That's when inspiration kicks in. And that's when you move into a state of inspired. I call this in spirit. And opportunities, you don't have to chase them anymore. Honestly speaking, guys, the abundance starts to show up knock on your door. That's when your nervous system is calm, when you align it by releasing this resistance that most people have. And this is unfortunately a sad truth. Most of the beautiful students and clients I work with, they have this in them, and it's not their fault. It's just conditioning, right? This is what we're being conditioned to be, the scarcity, sense of it's not enough, competition, chase. And I'm always bringing in that understanding and this new mental program of trust and understanding that is the foundation of freedom. Trust is the bridge between fear and freedom. So trusting in yourself, allows you to trust in life. And it allows you to trust that what's unfolding for you is not against you, but is actually meant for you. And you don't always have to control everything to be safe. This is a big one, by the way. This is a big one, and it's a large, and it's a common pattern where we have to control everything to feel safe. And if we're not in control of everything and uncertainty kicks in, then it's a disaster for some people. It really hurts their mental and emotional mind. So the moment you start to practice surrendering control, you make space for miracles to show up in your life. And the divine, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, this intelligent, doesn't just reward tension. It responds to flow. It responds to trust. And a big question I always get asked, and it's obviously very common in my line of work, is, well, how do you shift from fear to freedom? I actually did a master workshop a few months ago on this topic. But it starts with the awareness. So you have to be aware of where fear shows up in your body, in your thoughts, and in the choices you make. And when you become aware of that, it's not about, fighting the fear. It's more about being aware of it and going, okay, I'm fearful of this, and you feel it. You breathe through it. You just let it move through you because it's there as a sign of you stepping out into something unfamiliar. Discomfort is growth. If you listen to the other episodes, I mentioned that, right? So that is the first step, is releasing that. Now, I do that on a deeper level with my clients and students, but you just by simply breathing through it and feeling it in your body is already a very big step in the right direction. Of course, if there's deeper patterns that requires deeper work, deeper modalities and tools that enables that to release it from the nervous system. But that would be step one. How do I shift from fear to freedom? And then step two is reprogramming, is replace fear-based thoughts with empowering ones, empowering truths, conditioning and framing it in your mind. And you got to have that focus. And you can ask yourself daily, what would I choose if I were already free? What would I choose if I were already free? So that is an important sort of parameter or compass for you to make those decisions that you wouldn't make based on fear, right? And then we move into another realm that helps and adds to this formula, that moving away from fear to freedom, or, answering that question that I get asked quite a bit is gratitude. Gratitude, guys, is life-changing. It changed my life and continues to change my life because gratitude is the language of abundance. It's the ultimate state of receivership. It instantly pulls you out of scarcity. Instantly. Think about it. If you can think about 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for right now as I'm sharing this podcast with you or speaking to you, either you're watching or listening, take a moment and think about 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for in your life. Immediately it takes away fear. Immediately it takes away scarcity. It really brings you back. And that's a frequency, guys. It's an energy. It's a powerful state. Because when from a place of gratitude, we can start to be grateful for everything in our life, but we can also start to be grateful of what's to come. But if we're in scarcity, we're never grateful. And if we're in scarcity, we're never looking because we're thinking it's not enough. And that's what we want to change. And finally, to answer that question, because I get asked a lot, and I'm sharing this with you guys as well, is aligned action. What does aligned action look like for you? Freedom grows when you act from faith, not from fear. So show yourself, what am I doing today that is an action I'm taking from a place of faith and trust rather from a place of fear? Action, 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 as my mentor would say. Without action, nothing moves. That's the key to manifestation. We got to take action. So to close here, guys, and this is probably a shorter podcast, but it was more about getting into the straight and straightforward, is remembering that fear is the cage. Fear is the cage and freedom is the key. And you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. If you just take that in for a moment and just take that data, that linguistics that I just shared, and it really opens your mind when you understand that you're not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them, that superconscious awareness disassociated from those thoughts, that's going to shift your state. That's going to allow you to shift your entire reality. That's if you get it, as my mentor would also say. You have to get it to land. That's why I always say, listen to these podcasts, these short episodes, these solo episodes more than once if you need to, because trust me, guys, the code is here. And letting go of fear is not the end. It's the beginning of abundance. And I just always want you guys to be aware that it's all possible. I'm the living truth of that in my life by changing and reinventing myself and living the life of abundance and freedom on my terms. And this is what I do on a day-to-day basis with my beautiful clients and students from all around the world, giving them the steps and the guidance and the deep work that enables that. It enables that because it's so important. I actually created a mini course that you can find on my page. I don't know if it's listed yet, but I'm sure it will be. And it's about releasing anxiety, because anxiety is fear and it keeps us in the familiar, right? So releasing anxiety course is literally a video as well as like a coaching session, me explaining to you in more depth and giving you the tool, and then giving you a guided audio that is literally there to prime your brain out of fear into freedom, into what's possible. And this is super, super important, because if we don't, teach the brain and we don't understand the science and the knowledge behind it, we, again, stay in that familiar and we stay in this lack and fear mindset, and we're not able to take those steps. So again, if this message resonates with you, ask yourself, where am I still living in fear? Just ask yourself, where am I still living in fear? And if you do really genuinely have that, feel free to reach out or go check out this mini course. I did this a while back, and I did it almost for free, just for those who are really serious about learning how to prime and step away from fear. Step away from the things that they don't want, because it's the way the mind is working. It's always going to show fear in their life. And anxiety is the only emotions of the future that's driven by fear of the past. So it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle. So when you break that pattern and you teach your brain how to break that pattern and think differently, then you unlock yourself to a different level of mind, and start to have operate from taking the small actions that will help you operate from a place of freedom and trust instead of fear. Because when, and this is important, by the way, because when you act from freedom, like I said, abundance doesn't just find you, it flows through you. And that's the message I'm trying to deliver with this podcast episode. Abundance is there, it's all around us. It's just a matter of us plugging in and seeing it for what it is, and opening ourselves up for those opportunities and possibilities that exist for us. They're all there. Everything you want is there. You can create it. You can experience it. But you have to first step out of this mindset of fear and move into this mindset of freedom. And that will help you, naturally speaking, guys, to unlock abundance. So again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode or watch this. If you are, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. This is how you help the channel and you help this movement and to be part of this great tribe as we all create a whole new level of mind and a whole new reality for ourselves and for the loved ones in our life. Much love and positive energy.